For the past 14 days right here on Live Now from Fox, we've really been giving you nonstop coverage about the travesties that is happening in Ukraine as the Russian invasion continues. We're seeing it more and more, just these deadly attacks that continue on innocent people in Ukraine. And we want to get a little bit more insight on all of that that is happening. We go right to the ground right now in Ukraine, joined by a Ukrainian parliament member, Sviatoslav Yurash. Thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. We appreciate it, and thank you again for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me on. There's plenty to tell. Every single day is full of dramas, full of battles, full of suffering, full of the travesty that Russia has wrought not just on Ukraine but on the entire world, causing a true novelty that you can invade countries just like that and try and destroy them.
Yeah, really. I mean, and you know, we see these images, and I don't think even by just seeing it from miles and miles away what it really means for Ukrainians like yourself that are inside this right now and dealing with this on a 24/7 basis.
The reality is those Ukrainians aren't just dealing with it, they are fighting. They are fighting back. People like myself who have never been soldiers before, who have decided to join in one way or the other and train to become soldiers and try and be ready for a battle, because every single city is now in danger. Day one, Russia attacked with cruise missiles and rockets every single city in Ukraine, showing it can reach anywhere. But the point is that we are basically in life or death struggle. We either come out of this as an independent, sovereign, territorially integral nation that can prove itself to the world, or we perish as Russia wants. So we are fighting till the very last.
Absolutely, and you know, just seeing this fight happen in the way that you are able right now to hold these Russian forces, it is extremely just motivational and inspirational all at the same time. But what can you tell us right now, what you are seeing? We're hearing these reports that Russian troops are getting closer there to the capital. What are you hearing?
Well, the first days, Russian forces tried to make incursions into the city. They have made a few of them and pretty far into the city. That's why there were plenty of shootouts in the city, in our capital, and even yours truly has been a part of them. But the story is that we have pushed them out of the city, and we have basically brought together the forces we can to safeguard and create checkpoints and reality of the martial law inside of our capital, not to allow Russian agents and Russian provocateurs and Russian diversionary groups to enter the city. So Russians changed their tactics and are trying to siege the town, trying to block our access to the north, to the south, to the east, to the west. They have managed the north because of the Chernobyl salient, taking over the nuclear power station there, causing a threat to entire Europe by endangering that horrible nuclear site. They try to block us in the east more successfully because their border is closer there, and they have tried to attack us in the south and the west. And the battles for the last few days were against those incursions in the west, trying to keep the supply lines open to the border with the European Union.
And, you know, we've also been just seeing these horrible images come out earlier this morning of a maternity ward that was hit by Russians earlier today. Latest reports, there are 17 people injured. What can you tell us here as we just seeing this, you know, horrible video, destruction? This is not military targets. This is a hospital, for crying out loud.
This is the reality of this war. This hospital in the city is almost 1,000 kilometers away from where I sit right now in Kyiv, in the capital, which is also besieged. Russians launched an invasion on all the front lines in all parts of our long border, trying to destroy our nation. And the point is that battle Russians are losing, and therefore they are attacking indiscriminately everything they can get their hands on. That hospital is the latest in a long barrage of horrible, horrible crimes Russia is perpetrating here in this country, and I hope the world responds in a manner which throws Russia out of every single institution it's a part of, because it doesn't belong there as a violator of every one of those institutions.
Yeah, this is not a war. This is war crimes that we're seeing really play out, unfortunately, on social media, really almost coming up in real time. And you guys are fighting every hour of the moment here at this very moment. What's going to happen? A lot of people are thinking, what's going to happen now when these Russian military members get closer to the capital there of Kyiv? And, you know, is this going to be an all-out assault on both sides?
If Russians are preparing for that sort of scenario, they are gathering their machinery in the north of Kyiv, in the Chernobyl salient, again causing the nuclear power station there, infamous nuclear power station there, to become a hazard threat for the entirety of the world once again. But the point there, they will be trying to launch an attack. That's what seems most likely. And again, we are preparing for that as well. We are getting our defenses in order, and we'll be pushing back at them with everything we've got. If Russians are going just with the forces they have, they will not get very far, because Kyiv is a city of millions, and millions will respond as they are arming themselves, joining territorial defense units, army, guard, and all that. But if the Russians mobilize and get their 2 million troops to attack Ukraine and to prolong the war here, we will make Kyiv their Stalingrad. We are not giving up our capital. We are fighting here till our very last.
That is what is so amazing about this whole situation here, and what not only here in the United States we are witnessing, but around the world. You know, right before this was about to happen, this invasion, or maybe the first day, they were painting it like a David and Goliath. But what would your assessment be? Because it seems like the way that we have just been seeing these Russian forces the last 14 days, it doesn't seem like they're the Goliath that everyone thought they were.
The problem is Russians are believing their own propaganda. They're believing that when they enter Ukraine, they'll be cheered on and there will be flowers thrown at them. The only thing they're getting is bullets. The only thing they're getting is Ukrainian babushkas going in the streets and shrieking them curses to tell them this is not their country and they have entered into this country wrongly. The reality is Ukrainians are fighting back at every step, in every place, in every part of the country. We are devoted to our nation, and we're not going to give up because Putin has some mythological scenarios for Ukraine and the post-Soviet space in general. This is empire building, a naked one at that. And again, that's why we are responding in kind, because we have no other nation to go to. This is our country and we are going to fight, and we are fighting with everything we've got.
And what does it mean to you when you hear these numbers already of more than 2 million Ukrainians have fled the country for the safety, many of them, so many of them, women and children there for the safety of their own lives? And what does that mean to you when you hear those numbers and you don't know when they return, they might not even have a home or a place to be? What does that mean to you when you hear those kind of numbers?
That's a modern age tragedy, the reality that Russia is causing this onto a larger state in Europe, trying to basically destroy a way of life which was here just 2 weeks ago. Russians are causing this wholesale on the entire country that has suffered so much throughout history. But our history is a good guide to, no matter what we suffer through, we will come out stronger in the end. Let me remind you that in the 20th century, just personal example, my great-grandfather went through Stalingrad and he went on to liberate Europe from the East. And my great-grandmother survived through genocide by hunger, Holodomor caused by Stalin. So for us, when we hear those numbers, when we see these tragedies, the point is we survived Stalin, so we'll survive Putin.
Amazing there, as you're able to have that history and that fighting courage there that is so prevalent that we are seeing in all Ukrainians right now, defending their home, defending their homeland. And what are you seeing, especially out on the streets when you are patrolling it? Because you've been doing that. And what have you been seeing as far as the resiliency of Ukraine, or have you been encountered already with Russian forces?
Well, I haven't counted them, but the point is we are basically going to those outskirts, which I mentioned. That's where the battles are happening in the last few days, and basically going to the outskirts, trying to provide humanitarian assistance to the people that stayed there and bringing things that our soldiers need there. Basically, several of my parliamentary teammates are now leading the defense there. One of my assistants now is leading a platoon to the west of Kyiv, and the point is to try and go to him and both do my bit as a soldier, as rudimentary soldier as I am, never done soldiery before, and also try to provide supplies desperately need to try and maintain the defense of that vital road to the west. The point is the streets are quiet because it's martial law for 2 weeks now, and a lot of people are trying to survive till the next day.
And as much as this is a physical war, obviously a very psychological war as well, as you got people fleeing their very homes and then also defending really a beast of it's not even a country anymore. It's more of a terror land, as they're able to do this to this country here. We're talking about apartment buildings being bombed, hospitals being bombed. I mean, these aren't targets of military operations. This is all civilians. And when we're hearing about these different passages that they're trying to set up, it seems like it's more of a setup to hurt more civilians. What would you say about that?
They're trying to terrify the population because they see the population is not bowing to them. The point is they have an idea that Putin has told us for the last 20 years, the fact that he wants Ukraine and Russia to be the same country, that he sees Ukrainians and Russians as the same nation. Ukrainians don't see it that way, so they're trying to terrify them and show them that they are willing to do anything to make their concepts for geopolitical concepts a reality. So the point is, this will continue, and the West will keep seeing this until it does what it needs to do to try and stop the fighting. And let me remind you, the West has done it in other places. I don't see why our nation, the biggest nation in Europe, should be the exception to that, which Russia is wrecking on Ukraine.
Yeah, so true, so true. And what would you like to see from the West as far as we've been hearing about more air support, but what would that mean for you guys? Right now, it doesn't seem like the U.S. right now wants to commit to air patrols at this moment.
Nothing is enough. Everything is welcome. All is needed. Basically, we appreciate all the support we are getting right now and all the work to get different supplies into Ukraine, both military and civilian, humanitarian. The point is we need so very much more to try and fight with the second biggest army in the world. And as far as the strength in the battle, we truly have colossal air fleet that the Russians possess. So that's where you've been time and time again speaking about no-fly zone. No-fly zone is key here because the point is that they are wrecking this damage that you're seeing to civilian homes and civilians all over the country because of their air power, which is not superior but more numerous, vastly more numerous. And they're able to reach as far as all the parts of my country. So the point is to stop that and to try to push them back, at least in that dimension. That will give us more of a fighting chance in the battlefield.
Are you worried because it seemed like Putin was thinking that this was going to be a fast operation? It has been anything but that because Ukraine has been really defending their country so admirably. It's amazing to see, but because you have to. But are you worried that at any moment he could, what would seem, he would want to double down and even do even more crazier things and more horrible things to humanity?
Truly speaking, nothing is off the table. They have taken hostage one nuclear power station, which already is very well known to the world, Chernobyl power station, and they have tried to basically not make it operational, which is essentially trying to cause another nuclear catastrophe potentially. They have tried to take over the other nuclear power station, which is the largest power station in Europe, mining it and basically threatening Europe with that. Thankfully, our forces have retaken that power station. My family actually lives in that town, a part of my family that is. And the reality there was that they are trying to take the world hostage by taking those nuclear power stations, and they are sort of putting everything on the table to basically point out that to them, destruction of the single biggest state in Europe is their priority. But again, we want to repeat to them and the whole world to join us in stating that they will not be allowed to do that.
Yes, we know the whole world is watching, and I know that, watching is one thing and prayers are another, but action is the biggest key, and we're hoping for the very best for you guys all. I know this is just a horrible situation, but what you and so many millions of you have been doing is just amazing.
Thank you very much. It is much appreciated, the fact that you care, the fact that you're talking about this, the fact that you raise this, the fact that all of the sides of the political debates in the States, for example, which disagree on so much, can come to the table right now and find agreement on the fact that this should not be allowed in this century, in this day and age, and we should all work together to stop power-hungry states such as Russia, which, even though it's the biggest state in the world, demands time and time again more land and wants to destroy more nations, and it's causing wreck and havoc all over the world.
Yeah, you made a good point there. It's horrible to think, we're in the year of 2022. I mean, this almost seems like we're back in the 30s and 40s. Where have we gone as a society where another nation can just invade like this?
The point is that Putin lives in that past. He has said it himself time and time again, trying to lay out his historical claims against the reality of history, that he is basically trying to make a revanchist claim towards Eastern Europe and establish a sphere of influence, pushing at both Western allies, NATO allies, and trying to dominate everything the Soviet Union has scared away with its policies back in the 20th century. The point is that Mr. Putin is a symbol of the past, which should be rebuked in every way, because that past is murderous, that past is bloody, and Mr. Putin basically tries to make it a reality for us today.
Well, we hope he is stopped very soon, and we're hoping and praying for the very best for all Ukrainians at this very moment. And as this continues, we hope that it stops very, very soon. Sviatoslav, thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for caring.
No problem. We got you covered.